We are officially at war. Every day, every hour, every minute, we are moving closer to an event horizon of unprecedented proportions. And it is your job to understand that it isn't a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And it's also a matter of how you prepare yourself, because right now the present is at war with the future, and the present is all that matters. So if today marks the present moment, that present moment is January 1st, 2024. Happy New Year. So the big question we have to answer is, how are we going to get prepared for the event horizon? And that's what I want to cover in today's video. This is a new year, 2024. How you prepare is going to determine how you can benefit from the largest opportunity in your lifetime. My name's Chris Naugle. This is another episode of What Now? What's Next? So have you ever heard of the saying, hope for the best, but prepare for the worst? That's the most important thing. Listen, I hope everything goes well. I hope everything just soft lands, as Jerome Powell says and as Biden says. But let's look at the facts of what's going to happen in 2024. The facts are pretty simple to see. First off, it's an election year. Woo! No, there's nothing to be excited about. This probably will be one of the most controversial elections in history. But not only is it an election year, you've got the Fed taking drastic action with unwinding their balance sheet at the tune of $95 billion. That means that there is $95 billion less in the system every single month. But on top of that, what else do we got? Wars, and I don't want to say more wars, but coming to a theater near you. We've got Russia-Ukraine still at war. And we've still got a government that is funding that war. But not only are they funding that war, they're playing a dual proxy with the other war, Israel in the Gaza Strip. Yes, we're behind a lot of what's going on there, and that is facing massive controversy. You've still got massive civil unrest. Every time I do What the F Happened, which is a show we do every Wednesday morning, I always have haters, which means there are two sides to every coin, and people are really heavily on one side or the other. We have lost the edge of the coin. We have lost the middle ground. We have civil unrest, where does civil unrest lead to? Well, in some cases, civil war. God forbid we ever have that happen again. But what else do we got going on? Well, you've got the end of the debt cycle. Which debt cycle? Not just the short-term debt cycle, but also the long-term debt cycle. As Ray Dalio very eloquently puts it in The Economic Machine, how it works. And he explains that we are at the end of the short-term debt cycle. Actually, we're past the end, and we are at the end of a long-term debt cycle, which is a debt cycle that none of us in our lifetime have seen, because the last one was in 1930s. So what else do we got going on? Complete political unrest. We got complete political divide. Not only that, we got AI, artificial intelligence, making massive strides. And not only making massive strides, growing the stock market to all-time highs, or just under all-time highs. When the economy is softening, when everything seems to be somewhat falling apart, you've got all-time highs in the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ. And you got to ask yourself why. Speculation. You can spell that right out. Speculation. That's why. And manipulation. Manipulation. Speculation and manipulation. It's almost like we should celebrate those two things because, hey, they brought the markets to the brink of all-time highs in a time when the market shouldn't be at all-time highs. So what does that mean? Well, that means you should take your gains off the table, because where we're going, this event horizon does not bear well for your stocks. I can tell you that much. Oh, and did I mention manipulation, conspiracies, misinformation? I think I did, right? With all those things on the horizon, what are you going to do? Are you just going to sit back and follow the herds? Are you just going to follow that guy and that gal because they said this is what you should do? Are you going to make no decisions of your own and just follow the herds straight off the cliff? Oh, Why do I say that? Because I see that every single day. I see people plowing money in the markets. I see their advisors telling them they should continue to go in the markets, that they don't see any problem on the horizon. How can you not? All the signs are there. They've been there. I've talked about this in every video that I have done for the last year. Signs, signs, everywhere there's signs. Something like that. You know the song, and if you don't, you are too young to even care about what I'm talking about right now. But with all that being said, it's okay. It really is. Because you and me, we're just gonna focus on the positives. We're gonna ignore the negatives and focus on the positives. We are gonna set our mind to a destination that is called success. We are gonna focus on a worthy idea, and we're gonna do that consistently and persistently. And we're gonna do it with faith, because it's been said, ask and you shall be given. Seek and you shall find. Knock and it shall be opened for you. I want you to think about that, the Sermon on the Mount. I want you to think about those three things, and I want you to think about how you're going to go into 2024 amidst all of this crazy stuff that I just brought up. How are you going to get your family ready? How are you going to prepare your family for the event horizon? How are you going to handle everything that's going to unfold this year, 2024? Because that is what will set you free. You see, I've learned some things. I've learned some things that really will change your life, and I want to share them. Yes, be your own bank is one of the things that I learned, but I most importantly want you to understand that when you study all the wealthiest families, all the wealthiest people throughout history, you will find that every single one of them focused their mind on a worthy idea. And they never listened to anybody when they told them that their dreams and their ideas were no good, that they're gonna fail, as if they're gonna shoot their eye out. We just got done watching The Christmas Story. You remember that? Ralphie, you'll shoot your eye out.
You'll shoot your eye out! You'll shoot your eye out!
And what did he do? Almost shot his eye out. But did that stop him? No, because you're going to fail. Mark my words. You're gonna fail, and you're gonna love every single failure, because every failure holds one of the most valuable things to all of us, a lesson. A very important lesson, as if it's the greatest teacher of all time. I mean, now let me ask you this. How many of you remember your favorite teacher in school? Why were they your favorite teacher? Because no matter how old you are, I'm 46, I think. How old am I? Anyway, doesn't matter. I still remember my favorite teachers because of the impact they had on me at that time, and that impact has carried through my entire life. So what teachers do you remember? Okay, now focus on what they taught you and why you remember them. Now, think through to every failure you had throughout your life. What did you learn? Or, more importantly, what did you fail to learn? You see, there is no way to fail in life. There just isn't, unless you quit. Because if you quit, you fail. That is the only path to failure. But if you constantly focus on positivity, if you constantly focus on your worthy idea, and you never let that idea out of your mind, no matter what that idea is. Maybe you want to be a housewife. Maybe you want to be a house dad. I guess that's the thing. Maybe you want to be wealthy. If you want to be wealthy, what does that look like? Is it 10 million, 50 million, 150 million, a billion? You have to set a destination. You know, there's a thing called The Strangest Secret in the World by Earl Nightingale, where he talks about something that I think is really important as we look at the event horizon and focus on the now. I want you to think about a ship, any ship. Doesn't matter if it's a cruise ship, a small little fishing boat. When you think about a giant ship sitting in the port, that ship has a staff. That ship has a captain, and that captain has a destination every single time. 99.9% of the time it will reach its destination, because that's the idea. It has to. Nothing else can happen unless an unforeseen storm or something sinks a ship. Nothing else can happen. But if we take that same ship in that same port and we remove the captain, we remove the staff, and we remove the destination, but yet we start the engines and we set it off, where does that ship end up? 99.9% of the time. Abandoned, shipwrecked, probably didn't even make it out of the port for that matter, probably crashed on the other side. Your life is no different than that ship. If you go through life without a destination, without a purpose, without a worthy idea, you will crash. You will never make it anywhere. Look around, folks. There's a lot of people that never, ever get to their destination. They never succeed. Now, I can't say that's the case with my cat. My cat always succeeds at his destination, which is right here. He has to be part of every single video, right, little Cashy? But we're not talking about my cat, we're talking about you. So let's go through a couple steps, a couple things that you can focus on, a couple ideas that maybe you can plant in your mind so that you are destined to success. So let's start with number one, what I think is the worthiest idea you need to plant in your mind, and that is the idea that you must take back control of your money. Why must you take back control? Well, because everything out there is trying to take control of your money and succeeding at doing that. When you take the money that you work for and you give it to a bank, who's in control of the money the second it gets deposited in the bank? Is it you or is it the bank? For any of you that said the bank, you're absolutely right. The bank is in control of your money when you make the deposit. The bank then trades an interest rate that isn't fixed, isn't guaranteed, and floats with the Fed prime rate. But the bank now has control of your money to do what with it? To be the bank, to act as a bank, to go out there and lend money any way they see fit. So if the bank pays you 5% on your money, how much are they lending that money back to somebody else or back to you for? More than what they're paying you, which means they're making a spread. But they're making a spread because they're in control of that money because you gave up that control. Now, we can switch from banks over to 401ks. Who's in control of the money in your 401k? Is it you or is it Wall Street? It's Wall Street. You have no control of how those stocks, those mutual funds, and those ETFs perform. You have zero control over them. So let's start with taking back control of your money, and we can do that by you becoming your own bank, which is very simple. But before we get into you being your own bank, we gotta hit some fundamentals. Like number one, you gotta be in control of your finances in order to become your own bank. Because if you're not in control of your finances, your money's coming in the house and going right back out, and it's all going to someone else's bank. Think about that. Plant that one in your mind. Every dollar you're bringing in, when you're writing those checks, when those bill pays are going out, when those auto deductions are going out, who are they going to? Because it ain't your bank. It's somebody else's bank. So the real name of the game is create a budget. It's 2024, so no better time than now. All I want you to do is I want you to grab a pen and I want you to grab a piece of paper and I want you to just draw a T on that piece of paper. On the left side, I want you to write income. On the right side, I want you to write debts and expenses. Quite simple. And then I want you to draw another line. I want it to look like this. On the left side, write all your income sources, everyone, even those side hustles. Yes, I want them all. And total them up and divide it by 12. How much monthly do you bring into your household? Great, we've got the left side of that T-chart done. Now we need the right side. On the top of that, I want you to write all of your expenses, just like that, okay? All the expenses. Now, what do I mean by expenses? I mean things that you pay for every month that don't change. Groceries, maybe you've got private schooling expenses, whatever those expenses are that wouldn't be classified as debt. They're just living expenses. Then underneath that, I want you to draw a line. And I want you to total that column up. How much in expenses are you spending every month? Great. Those are fixed expenses that don't change too much. Now underneath that, this is the most important one. Write your debts and spell your debts out. I want you to write each one carefully. I want you to write it all out. Discover credit card. And then I want you to write the balance. And I want you to write the interest rate that they charge you. Now that may require you to go online or pull up an old statement. Write the interest rate they're charging. I bet it's over 20%. And then write the dollar amount that you give them every single month. And then pause. As you do each one, I want you to look at that percentage, 15, 20, 29%. And I want you to look at the dollar amount next to it. That is the amount that you're giving up to somebody else's bank that you don't have to. You see, you could take back control of that payment. You could. It will take some time. It will take a little bit of work, but I will guide you there. Just like the captain of a ship that always gets to its destination 99.9% of the time, you too can get to your destination. If your destination is paying off debt, buying that dream house, buying that dream sports car, you can get to that destination. But it will take time, it will take consistency and persistency. Because if you fail to put the time and be consistent and persistent at your worthy idea, you will never reach your destination, because the ship will not have a captain and will not have a destination. Because you could actually have a ship with a captain, but if that captain doesn't know where that ship's going, that ship will never leave the port, and if it does, it will be lost at sea. Do you want your financial life to be that ship that's lost at sea? Are you that ship that's lost at sea? That's a worthy idea to think about right now. Because I guarantee you there's a lot of people out there that have the best intentions, but they just need the destination. They need to focus on it. And I think that could be your problem. If you don't have a destination, a dream, a goal, something that you want defined in your mind that you think about every single day, that you think about it so intently that literally when you close your eyes at night, you dream about it. And when you wake up, you seriously don't know the difference between the dream and reality. You ever had that? You wake up and you're like, oh my God, was that a dream or did that really happen? Because I have, and you know what I've done? I've focused on that over and over again. And you know what ended up happening at the end? The only thing that can, because it's a universal law, that thing that I dreamed about happened. And I then went on to the next. I'm not making this up, folks, and you know this to be true because you've done this. The problem if you're not where you want to be in your life is because you've allowed somebody else to mess with your idea in your mind. You've let somebody else interfere. And you have conformed to their failed ideas, their failed realities, because their ideas, their dreams are not yours. So why would you listen to anybody else? Just turn the volume down on all the noise and turn the volume up on what it is you plant in your mind, and you will find that you will have success. Now, let's continue on. One of the most important things that I think all of you can learn that will help you significantly are the laws of wealth and the rules of prosperity. The laws of wealth are simple. There's 6 of them. They come from, well, many places. The wisest men throughout history have talked about these different laws. They've been mentioned in the Bible over and over. Jesus of Nazareth talked about them. All of these laws can be traced back as far back in history as you need to look. They're simple. And the first law is you must save 10% of what you make. You must keep 10% of what you make. Because if you're not, how do you go on to the next law? Which the next law is make your money work for you. Back in the day, it was make your gold work for you. It's always been the same. Nothing's changed. Yes, the landscape's changed. Yes, there might be more houses where you're living now than there was in the past. Yes, the car you're driving might be different than the ones you drove in the past. But the laws never change. And here's another law, and probably the single most important one. Make yourself valuable to other people. Give. Go out there and solve problems for people. Focus everything you do on solving somebody else's problem. Now, let me ask you this. If you went to your neighbor and you asked them why they get up and go to work, could they answer that question? Well, they actually did a study, and only 1% of all the people could answer why they get up and go to work. And I'd be willing to bet that those 1%ers said they get up to solve somebody else's problem. And the rest of them just say, well, because I have to. Well, because isn't that what everybody else does? Isn't that what I'm supposed to do? Well, you are the captain of your own ship, so you can do whatever you want to. But that's the sad thing. If 99% of all the people out there, if they don't know why they get up and do what they do, how can they ever reach their destination? Can't. In today's world, this one's not so much a law, but I think an important lesson that we should all learn. You need an emergency fund. You need at least 6 to 8 months. Let me give you an example. A family member of mine recently took her car in for an inspection and it failed. It failed because the tires were bald. Now, that's a simple solution, right? Just put new tires on the car. But she couldn't because she doesn't have any savings. She gets up and goes to work every single day. She makes a paycheck every single week, yet she does not have enough money to put new tires on her car. Therefore, her car goes without an inspection. Therefore, she drives every single day with the risk of getting pulled over and getting a ticket, which will cost her even more. How many people are in that same boat? How many people couldn't afford one emergency in their life? How many people couldn't afford one minor little thing like new tires? I don't know. but I'd be willing to bet it's more than we'd all like to admit. Save 6 to 8 months as an emergency. As we move on, this is another really important one, but this goes back to taking back control of your money and being your own bank. Put your family in a situation where they are in control of their finances. Here's another important one. Allow your family to be self-sustaining and independent from the systems that so many people rely on day in and day out. If you don't rely on the same systems everybody else does, you have a head start. This one you should already know. Love and appreciate others, including other things like little lazy cashier. Appreciate the small things in life. Don't let them just go by. Stop and smell the roses. This is another important one. Pray or meditate, whatever your flavor is. Find a purpose and get down on your knees and thank the source, whether that source is God or Jesus or Buddha, whatever it is. Put your hands together and say thank you for this day. But hold on, we gotta pause. Sorry, Cash, didn't mean to scare you. He didn't want to be around for this one. Yeah, this is a good one. I need you right now to click that little button, that little subscribe right there. Yeah, click that button. And also there's a little bell right up top. Smash that bell so that you're notified every single time somebody slips a left jab at you. And not only that, make sure you're always observant of where you're throwing your next word. Now let's bring it all full circle. Remember in the beginning of this video, I talked about being your own bank and taking back control of your money. Is that something you want to do? Is that something you want to be a destination for this year? Well, if it is, check this video out right here. BYO Bank, be your own bank. We'll see you on the next one. My name's Chris Naugle, and this has been another episode of What Now? What's next for you?